Hey, what's up everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome back to MX Simulator, where today we're going to be playing the 2019 Las Vegas Supercross track here in MXS. Final round of the 2019 season coming up tomorrow night, and gonna be a good little one to watch. Probably not gonna see much in the way of a 450 championship decision change in any direction. With Cooper Webb probably having this thing all but wrapped up. But 250 class could be some interesting things, and I'll talk about that in a quick second. But wanted to touch base on this track and what it looks like for the weekend. Obviously, you're seeing me play it right now. And as far as I can tell from looking at the track from press day stuff, it actually didn't change much from the initial track layout that they kind of gave out. Obviously, the Race Factory guys build these MX Sim tracks off the blueprints, and sometimes they change it up pretty drastically from what ends up being on the blueprint, but as far as I could tell, it looked pretty much the exact same from the pictures, so kind of cool, and I'd expect it to shape up this way. But pretty, I don't know, stereotypical Vegas, where obviously Thunder Alley, fast rhythm lanes. It's got a really long rhythm lane exiting the stadium this year, as opposed to, well, I guess exiting is usually pretty normal for rhythm sections. But they also have like kind of a smaller rhythm lane coming into the stadium this year, which is, in sim at least, very tricky because you're hitting it so fast. It's like really hard to get your mojo settled as you come into it. And we in sim are going 4-4, which I guarantee they won't be doing in real life. If they are, then I would assume they would change it before free practice, or before qualifying timed practice stuff. So I wouldn't expect it to be the way that you're going to see me hit this section right now, but it could be. And obviously Thunder Alley is notorious for creating some pretty wild stuff coming back into the stadium, so not out of the realm of possibilities. But sand corner before the finish line jump, couple back-to-back sets of whoops. Really weird section where like it goes under this bridge and then it kind of turns right and then has like a almost, I guess it'd be like a 120 degree left-hand turn before a Supercross triple. And from the pictures I saw at press day, it looked like they left the corner very, very wide open, as you'll see. Like I come across the start here, and like look at how wide open this corner is, like for passing opportunities, either swooping down right here to clear the triple or pushing someone out to the berm. Like lots of possibilities, I feel. And then obviously guys missing the Supercross triple would be a huge time waster or saver if you're trying to get them to miss it on purpose. So just probably something like that to keep an eye on for sure. Obviously this long rhythm lane might break up into a couple different options, but they'll dart fish it and all that stuff and figure out the fastest way through it, I'm sure. And definitely doing what I just did right there will not be the fastest way through it. I can almost guarantee that. So yeah, 450 class coming into this weekend. Well, actually, let me start off by saying the breaking news of today out of the pre-race Las Vegas press conference that they always conduct every year. Normally they announce the Supercross schedule when this happens, but that was not the case this time. Instead, Ken Roczen has agreed to a 3-year contract extension with Honda HRC. So the man who signed his 3-year deal 2017 through 2019 has extended that deal through 2022. So now technically it's going to be a 6-year deal essentially with Honda for Kenny. I mean, it just seems like a win-win kind of, because yeah, Honda maybe didn't get exactly what they wanted out of Roczen because they signed him fresh off of a dominating outdoor season, maybe looking the most comfortable he's ever looked in his career on a bike, and crashed out of Monster Cup. And then 2 Supercross wins to start 2017, and then obviously the near career-ending arm injury at Anaheim 2. And since then, it hasn't really panned out into anything really too exciting, I would say, for either side. Obviously, he was able to win a couple outdoor motos, but just the fact that he hasn't quite encapsulated the type of potential I think Roczen has on that Honda team makes it feel a little bit like a failure these first 3 years. But all the stuff that Roczen presents off the track, the personality, obviously being like one of the most social media friendly athletes out there as well really helps his case in terms of promotional aspect for Honda. Honda was a good fit for Kenny anyway, because obviously severed ties with KTM and left a little sour taste in Rogers' mouth the way he left back in 2014, and then obviously leaving Alden's training camp and kind of talking some crap on Alden meant that KTM was never going to be possible. However, Roczen is the elite Red Bull athlete, despite him not being on the full factory Red Bull team, essentially in that Red Bull KTM. But I promise you, Red Bull's paying him more than the other Red Bull athletes that line up on the gate in Supercross. So Honda's a good fit for that because they don't have an energy drink sponsor. It's just cut and simple. They don't have a title sponsor for the team even. But Roczen couldn't go to Husqvarna because they have Rockstar, and he couldn't go to Kawasaki because they have Monster, and he couldn't go to Yamaha because they have Monster. So it kind of leaves you with like JGR, a reunion with KTM, or Honda, and obviously it seems like Honda is going to be the place that he goes pretty deep into his career with at this point. So kind of works out, I feel. I would have to imagine it was assumed back in 2017 when he signed his 3-year deal with Honda that was about in the area of 2.25 to 2.5 million a year. So roughly, if you could, exacerbate that out, it would have been roughly a 3-year, $7.5 million contract back then. I would have to imagine that's gone down, and if I'm guessing, because I don't know for a fact, but knowing kind of how much these guys have been making the last couple years, I would think he's probably still in the 1.25 to 1.5 area. So, max deal here probably is a 3-year, $4.5 million base salary with obvious, incentives. These guys make hundreds of thousands of dollars in win bonuses and championship bonuses if they can do it. So, he has the potential to make just as much money as he was making on a base salary before, but obviously they probably had to say like, hey dude, we hired you to win 3 championships and a bunch of races and you haven't done that, so we're gonna have to cut your salary, but we want to keep you. So I think Kenny probably would have understood that, and I would just have to assume that is how it shook down. Could be wrong, but good to see Kenny is going to be back with Honda for a good long while there. And what's going to happen beside him is all unknown. Rumor mill has been floating around heavily that Adam Cianciarulo has already locked in his 450 Kawasaki deal next year. I'm assuming it'll be on a 2-year deal with Kawasaki. And it sounds like he's signed already, and it also means that he should be along Eli Tomac, who is also signed through at least next year, which leaves Joey Savacci out at Cowie, but that was kind of always really expected, I feel, out of that team. Like Joey was almost the filler for them until AC was ready, and clearly he is ready. So AC probably moving up to Cowie next year, not confirmed but rumored. And big news was Roczen's 3-year deal with Honda today. So talking about the race coming up this weekend, just a real quick synopsis of it. Cooper Webb is pretty much going to win this championship. 23-point lead coming in, has the tiebreaker. So even if Tomac wins and Webb finishes 20th, which would leave them tied in the points, leaving Vegas, Cooper Webb would still win the championship because he has more wins on the season. He would have 7 wins to Tomac's 6. So honestly speaking, Webb just has to make the main event here. I think nightmare situation for him is not making the main event, and second nightmare situation is him crashing and injuring himself significantly in the first corner. But if he makes it the first couple of laps, I would pretty much foresee the championship being over at that point, because I would almost be willing to bet a couple guys would already be out of the race by that point. And if they weren't and something weird did happen to Webb, a la a front tire, failure like Anderson had, or something along those lines that causes him to either go multiple laps down or get maybe even tossed out of the race for some reason, that he would have enough of a cushion at that point to survive. And it's not even a foregone conclusion at that point either that Eli would win the race. I mean, the only situation that exists here is Eli winning the race and Webb finishing 21st or 22nd or not making the main event. That is Eli's only chance, because if he finishes second in the main event, does Tomac, once again, the best he can do is tie Webb, and Webb would still be the champion on the tiebreaker. So it has to be a win, and it has to be a catastrophe for Webb this weekend, which I see a win for Tomac, sure, but I do not see a catastrophe happening for Webb. So I think that Cooper Webb is about to win his first career 450 Supercross title. But again, this 250 class is maybe a little bit more interesting. 13-point lead for Adam Cianciarulo on Dylan Ferrandis. It's going to be the showdown, so there's like some drama that could be thrown in, like a Cianciarulo crash in the first corner, and then he has obviously like twice the competition to try to work his way through. I think that series is more safe than the East. I think Cianciarulo's always been pretty good at Vegas. The West guys have been proven to be faster than the East class this year. So I think Cianciarulo's got this title pretty well wrapped up. Obviously, anything can happen, but I would say that it's safer than the East, which is a 9-point lead for Chase Sexton over Justin Cooper. And Sexton just won his first career main event last weekend, so it's not like he's in familiar territory by any stretch of the imagination. Cianciarulo's won several races. He's won Vegas the last 2 years, so he kind of knows like what's going on right now. Sexton, it's like, holy crap, I just got thrust into the championship scenario here. I have a 9-point lead. It's a good cushion, but dude, anything could happen. Sexton doesn't get great starts. Cooper kind of usually does at least get better starts than Sexton, and I don't think that, Ferrandis obviously won't be doing anything for Justin Cooper, but I don't think that Oldenburg or Nichols would do anything to help out Justin Cooper, their teammate. They might, but obviously last weekend Oldenburg did not, so it's really tough to say. But in those situations, like I would say if Justin Cooper's running like third and Colt Nichols is second, and Chase Sexton is in a situation where he wins the championship if it stays as is, but if Cooper could get into second and pass Nichols, he wins the championship, well, then I could see Colt Nichols moving out of the way then. People would get heated about it, I know, but that just is kind of what happens when you pay a bunch of money to a lot of guys to be on your one team to help win championships. They kind of have the free reign to do stuff like that. So will it happen? I doubt it, because I think that Sexton at least has the speed covered to get through the field well enough to make, ends meet, really. Calculating it out, if Cooper is able to win, which I don't see happening because it would be his first career win, but it is a showdown and weird things happen. If Cooper was to be able to win the main event, so long as Sexton finishes 5th or better, he's the champion. But it completely changes if what I think will happen ends up happening, and that is, I'm pretty sure the West guys are going to go 1, 2, 3. I think Ferrandis is going to win this main event, and I think Cianciarulo is going to get a half-decent start, try to get into a good position, and just settle. So I think he'll get third. I think Nichols will get second, which means that like the ceiling for Justin Cooper is 4th. And if he gets 4th, Chase Sexton only has to get 11th. And at that point, you're now looking at a situation where Sexton, who has clearly shown that he can go all the way through the East field, would only have to get kind of halfway through the West field and all the way through the East field on some level there to get into a championship position, which I fully expect to happen. The start, I think, is going to be like the biggest contributing factor, as it would be in the 450 class, to anything drastic happening. We saw Osborne crash on the start back in 2017, but he was able to charge forward and pass Savachi late, so even if Sexton goes down, I wouldn't say he's out of it, but it obviously creates a worse situation for him if he does go down on the start, and as talked about, he doesn't get great starts. So yeah, I think if anything, that championship on the East is a little bit more open-ended, but it still looks like it's a pretty far long shot for Cooper, because honestly speaking, I would put Cooper as like the 3rd or 4th fastest star Yamaha rider currently, because it looks like Nichols has kind of found his late season groove. Ferrandis is the fastest guy on that team in my opinion, and last week Oldenburg beat Justin Cooper, so in that situation, like, he's not even the best guy on his own team and would have to probably beat all of his teammates while they all block Sexton to have something dramatic happen. And I don't see Ferrandis getting in the situation because he's still trying to win the West Series if something would happen to Cianciarulo. So yeah, I still honestly believe leaving here that our championship leaders coming in will be leaving, but there are still 6 people alive for 3 championships, and it's not over till it's over. Again, I would say in terms of like possibility, I would say 450s is pretty much over. I'd say 250 West is pretty far gone, and 250 East is decently gone, but is by far the closest chance of something weird happening, and we'll just have to sit back and see what happens this weekend in Las Vegas. So that's a little quick update synopsis of the racetrack and everything that's going on in the world of Supercross from your friendly neighborhood Kellen, and thank you guys again for watching another video here on the channel. So I'll see you guys next week when we recap the season, talk about some fun stuff, and we'll go into the outdoor season. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.